Imagine spending 4 years traveling the globe, playing 36 cutthroat qualifying matches on shoestring budgets, because we know that's how the U.S. travels, finally earning a spot in the Cricket World Cup. This is something we've been close to in the United States, but we haven't quite got there. Only fly 8,000 miles to play what are effectively play-in matches before you even see Australia or India or any of the powers on the pitch. Well, that's what the International Cricket Council seems to think associate nations like the U.S. should go through for the one-day World Cup, which I think with these rules changes that they've made, format changes they've made to the ODI World Cup, let's start calling it that. I know it's the Cricket World Cup, ICC World Cup versus the T20 World Cup is the men's T20 or women's T20 World Cup, but the T20 game has overtaken the test game for sure, and I think also even the limited 50 over cricket, limited over one-day cricket, and this will further it, at least at the international level. The ICC sold a 14-team World Cup to the public. We have a 20-team World Cup in the T20, where everybody goes right to the group stage. But they designed a structure that acts like a protected country club for protected nations. So let me explain this. You'll see that there are 14 teams, and technically, if you come through that qualifying stage, you will qualify for the World Cup. But if you look at the fine print, seeds 12, 13, and 14, those would be the three associate teams that probably qualify, because remember, we have full members, and then we have associate members, are quarantined into a preliminary mini tournament, what we call in the United States play-in games, what they call in Europe eliminators, or what they call in British culture eliminators. Two teams are gone instantly because they lose those eliminators. The third team left standing gets to go into a group stage where they'll either be thrown in with India or they'll be thrown in with Australia, right? Pick your poison. Although Australia's not looking so swell lately, are they? Nor is India, really. So under the original two groups, 7-team format, making the World Cup meant that you had 6 matches against the world's best, and it also helps you, not only do you have a longer tournament, it helps you improve as a nation. Now, you could be 2 and out, 1 and out, 2 and out before the main schedule even begins, before the World Cup really feels like it begins. So this is not an expanded tournament. It's an eliminator qualifier built in. So what does this do here in the United States? This is a big part of why we're discussing this. This format will actively undermine the growth of the sport here in the United States and the commercial viability of the sport in the United States outside of the T20 level. T20 is doing great, right? The U.S. hosts the 2020, co-hosts the 2024 World Cup, qualifies for the 2026 edition in India and Sri Lanka, where I had to play a match against Pakistan down in Colombo. And it looks like they're good enough that they'll qualify in 28, has already qualified for the 28 Olympics, where T20, cricket's returning, but it's T20 as the host nation, the LA Olympics, and of course has a vibrant league in Major League Cricket, vibrant competition where some of the best players in the world come and play here. If you're really good and you're not Indian, there's a good chance you're going to play in Major League Cricket. I'm not going to get into the whole reason why Indians are... Okay, if you're not Indian and you're not contracted to the national team, to the BCCI, if you're retired from international competition and you're Indian, you very well can come and play Major League Cricket. And speaking of retired and Major League Cricket, I still believe Ben Stokes will be here next year, the great English cricketer. So, again, another... we'll talk about England and their naturalized players and all that at some point in the future. So cricket in the United States is not competing just with cricket for eyeballs, which I think the ICC seems to forget. It's competing with college football, the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, tons of different soccer tournaments, the PGA Tour, the majors in tennis, auto racing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you pitch an American broadcaster or a major corporate sponsor to run a World Cup related campaign when you can't guarantee you're playing and the run could end after one or two fixtures? The ICC, to their credit, showed massive ambition with a 20-team T20 World Cup, and that's worked, and that's helped the U.S. That's helped Canada, who've been in the last couple of T20 World Cups. It's helping nations, associate nations, really develop. Look at Italy. Italy is one. Not a traditional cricket country. Now, the truth be told about Italy, there are a lot of Australians and Brits and some Indians there, so that creates, that's what's happened. But still, look at Italy. Look at them qualifying. Look at the success of Afghanistan, who then become a full member of the ICC. So it's worked. But with 50 over cricket, which is also, again, a limited over cricket, they have reverted to pure risk aversion and elitism because the test game is elite. There are only 12 nations that can play test cricket. And so they keep playing one another, right? Pakistan is playing England now, right? India is playing Sri Lanka. They just reshuffled the deck chairs because then, India and Pakistan won't play each other. So that's the one exception. But India will then, has just played England in a white ball series, but they can play England in a test series. And then Sri Lanka can play Pakistan. And then Australia, who just lost to Bangladesh, right? Now Bangladesh can go play South Africa, and Australia can play New Zealand, right? It's all the same nations over and over again in Test cricket, and these nations play each other constantly. So it is a fenced off, gated off, elite sport. Only permitted to be played in countries that are part of the Anglosphere. Or are South Asian, right? Those are the two, because let's throw Afghanistan in there. So you're either part of the Anglosphere or you're part of the Indosphere, maybe we'll call it, right? But so that's it. No one else is allowed. That includes the United States. That includes Canada. That includes all these other countries that are developing cricket cultures. You can't sell the American market on a sport on a 48-hour cameo. That's like the 16 seed in the NCAA tournament that we fall in love with for 5 minutes when they keep that number one seed from the Big Ten or the ACC in check. And then the under 16 timeout comes out, happens after that, after the commercial break, they get blitzed. So this creates a caste system. And yes, I am using that word deliberately because Indians tend to run the ICC. Okay? So you can at me if you think that's too provocative. And if you're an Indian who doesn't believe in the caste system, you shouldn't be offended by me using the term. Okay? If you're a Hindu that doesn't believe in the caste system. This creates a caste system where we as Americans are not in the top, we're not upwardly mobile. Creates a permanent caste system. It locks the rest of the world into a permanent second tier status. Full members never play bilaterals against the US, Scotland or the Netherlands or Italy, these sorts of nations. The World Cup is literally the only time these players can face elite sides. They can be part of an elite tournament. They can understand the professionalism that's involved, and they can face elite bowling, and they can face these different kinds of challenges. If you eliminate associate qualifiers in a side bracket against one another, they learn nothing new. You put them in a side bracket, they're playing one another in eliminators. They gain zero exposure against top tier pace and spin, earn no meaningful ranking points to climb that ladder. So it's a caste system. It's locked in. If cricket really wants to be a truly global sport beyond the T20 version, which is, I do concede and I do appreciate, it is the second most popular team sport in the world. T20 cricket is at this point, behind football. which is far and away number one. And we saw that again with this FIFA World Cup that just concluded. But if cricket wants to be a truly global sport heading into the Los Angeles Olympics, the ICC has to stop protecting the big countries and dictating broadcast schedules so that you get additional matches in World Cups between England and Australia and India and Pakistan and these sort of provocative draws. You know, when that happens in football, the sport I'm most commonly associated with, in soccer, I guess as we call it in the States, we assume the draw is fixed. The ICC themselves do actually fix the draw because they want the broad. When England plays Croatia in the first match of the FIFA World Cup this past year in their group, we're like, yeah, that draw might have been fixed because England Croatia is such a big rivalry, such a big game. But the other 11 groups weren't fixed. But in cricket, they're fixing the groups to create the broadcast schedule and to guarantee broadcast matches at the expense of developing the sport outside of those countries. So that's the point. Because the U.S., Scotland, Netherlands, Italy, Namibia, these countries don't fit into those convenient, Kenya, right? There's a lot of countries we can name here. Canada, they don't fit into those kind of broadcast narratives and into those rivalries that you want to sell around the TV rights. They're getting screwed, and the sport's not going to develop. So this change to the T20 to the 50 over ODI World Cup is detrimental to the development of the sport and highly damaging to us here in the United States.